Hey, everybody. Game 2 of Summer Siege, 2,400 point tournament. The first game, as you guys have probably saw, got my ass kicked by Tomb Kings and by my own knowledge of Orcs and Goblins rules and let my savages get panicked. But I'm ready for game 2, and it's a mirror match. Orcs and Goblins versus Orcs and Goblins. So deployment in this one is having to roll for zones, but there are no people held in reinforcements. I got fairly lucky. I mean, my block of savages with my general was on the right flank, but with the exception of trolls being out of the leadership bubble, I'm just going to correct that pretty early. This is what the board looks like. My army's kind of a Ragnarok on the left. It doesn't really look too different from what I would normally do. I'm just a little more spread out. Both groups of Wolf Riders are on the right. My opponent here, here's a picture of my spells. I got Here We Go, Foot of GORK, Fist, and Hand, so that's really good. And then I got Itchy Nuisance on my level 1, which is fantastic. My opponent got kind of hosed on his army. His leadership is on his far side, and he really needs it. He's got an Orc Chariot. He's got 8 Trolls, way outside of a leadership bubble. Cool looking Doom Diver in the back there, even though it looks like a Rock Lava, it's a Doom Diver. A group of 5 Wolf Riders. Big group of like 35 Savages with his level 4 in there, Lucky Shrunken Head. Then he's got another Boar Chariot. He's got 8 more Trolls. These Trolls are by his General. Wolves in front of them, and then there's his General. Now his General and BSB are mounted. Both have like 2 or 1 up armor saves. They're in a group of Boar Boys of about 10 of them, and there are 3 other hero Orc war bosses in the front rank. The entire front rank is heroes. It's pretty crazy. But even though his leadership bubble's 18 inches, he's kind of far away. So we'll see what happens. So here's what it looks like when we get started. Kind of blurry. And I get to go first. I had to deploy my entire army first, although it didn't really matter because we all had to roll, for each quadrant, but I still got to go first. So it's my Orcs and Goblins turn 1. First thing, I fail Animosity on my Wolf Riders, and they have to move and then charge. So the closest guy is his Wolf Riders, little wolf on wolf. Now he's paid for upgrades. My wolves are just rocking the Muso to be cheap. We'll see what happens. Everyone else just kind of moves forward with the exception of my bunker, blurry at the bottom there. They swift reform and start going through that stupidity forest, but I'm not worried about that. My Mangler goes through the woods there. Doesn't have any dangerous terrain issues, and everyone else is just kind of moving up. I just want to center my lines a bit, and it's fine if I don't get into combat right away. I can shoot a little longer. Over here, the Ragnarok just goes up the flank as fast as he wants and turns so he can add in, just be kind of a threat over there. I got nice juicy targets on that chariot, although I don't want to get in with the trolls. My trolls stumble forward, my Mangler goes forward like you can see there. We go to Magic, it's 12 dice to 6. First I throw a couple dice to Itchy Nuisance, and I fail, rolling a 1 on the Mushroom die, so that sucks. Take a wound. I get Hand of GORK off and move my Mangler right in front of his group. So, yeah, there's no room here. If I get to bounce around, that's great. I want to go right through his mounted dudes. I'm very happy with that. With the last few dice, I try to throw Foot right on his dudes, and he's able to dispel that. During shooting, my first Doom Diver does 4 wounds, landing right on his group of Boar Boys, so that's fantastic. Whittle that group down quite a bit. Second Doom Diver misses. 1 Spear Chucka blows up, and the other 2 just kind of miss at what they're shooting at. In close combat, I lose 1 wolf to dangerous terrain coming in, but it's a push in combat, and we stick. Now we go to the bad Orcs and Goblins, turn 1. So he moves his wolves up and jumps on my Mangler Squig right up front. Proper. His trolls outside of the leadership, he deployed them facing this way so that they would stoop it into his leadership bubble, which was actually fairly brilliant. His chariot on the right there tries to charge my chariot. I think it needed like a 9 or a 10, so it was a little around 50-50, a little better, a little worse, and he failed, so now he's sitting right out in front there. Over here, he sends one of his heroes out, just one of his cheap 75-point heroes out, and lands on my Mangler. I come out 10 points ahead there, and he panics, but the BSB saves him on the reroll, so it could have been really great. And he's down a hero, so I'm okay with that. During Magic, it's 7 dice to 5. He gets an irresistible Hand of GORK and moves his chariot back to the position you see it in. He did not want me charging and then overrunning into the flank of his savages because my chariot was gonna do exactly that, and so just moved it back, and then they drained the rest of the pool on the miscast, but he didn't take any wounds. His Doom Diver drifts from my chariot and kills 1 savage. My wolves had died in combat on his turn, And then we go to my turn 2. I charge my wolves on his. Now, they don't fail animosity. I just choose to charge because, hey, I like tying up his unit before, and now it's still kind of tied up. I charge my chariot into his chariot, even though he had moved it back to the line. You can see that kind of in the middle. There's a lot of arrows. My wolf chariot's too far away to make a charge. My savages go through the woods, and now we're kind of consolidating. My night goblins move forward, and I move forward with them too aggressively to get within 8 inches and release the fanatics. That was stupid. And my opponent pointed that out nicely later. He's like, if you would have just held an inch back, then when I charged, it would have released the fanatics. You could have gone corner to corner and tried to get me to take double the hits. As it was, I might have killed 1 or 2 savages, and now my fanatics are bouncing around the back. The black orcs move up, the chariot moves up, as you can see. During magic at 6 dice to 6, he dispels foot. I don't get it irresistible, and he gets it as at an even match, so no magic phase, really. I forgot to show this arrow is showing my spider teared. I saw his chariot was way outside the leadership bubble, and I teared it almost off the board. It was within 1 inch, and there was... I chose not to redirect because I probably wouldn't have made it, and even if I did, I don't want to get into trolls. So that's where he ended up. Shooting kills 1 boar boy with a doom diver. Only 1 spear chucker misses. Actually, 1 spear chucker misfired and couldn't shoot, and then the other something. Only a doom diver killed 1 dude, and that was it. I kill his chariot with impact hits alone and overrun into his trolls. So, I mean, that's not going to go well for him, but at least he's tying some guys up, and he's only in contact with 2 people. So there's only 2 pukes if he wants to puke. The combat with the wolves is a push, so we're sticking there, and I'm holding guys up, and I'm feeling pretty decent on that flank. So we go to his turn 2. His savages go into my night goblins, and that's going to be short work for them. So he reforms his boars on this turn so that he can actually come in next turn to help. He actually couldn't with the way that they were clipping, I think, the building, or I don't really remember. He had to reform them to basically charge next turn. There's kind of like this shrubbery wall that was put down that was just right in the middle of combat. I feel dangerous terrain on it, but anyway, he had to reform. Otherwise, let's see what else. We go to magic phase. It's 5 dice to 5. I dispel Hand of GORK, trying to target his trolls. And during shooting, he puts 2 wounds on my Gobbo chariot. In close combat, as you would expect, the night goblins were wiped out, and he overran to the black orcs. 2 wounds were done to my chariot here, but my chariot sticks. And it's another push with the wolves, believe it or not. His wolves are surviving, and mine are too. So he's going to have to charge my wolves next turn, which I'm very happy with, assuming I stick around again. So we go to Orcs and Goblins turn 3, the good guys. I fail a charge with the savages into his savages. It was sad. And I should have called a wah here. I wrote this on the back of my hand, and I just didn't even notice it. I put everyone into those savages. I got the black orcs already there. I put the chariot in, and I put the Arachnarok in the flank, and everyone made it. And I have to roll like a 4, maybe a 5 of the savages, and I come up with 3. It sucks. And I forgot to call a wah, so I'm not going to have that combat res there, which I really have to remember. I take my wolf chariot into the flank of his boar boys here because, hey, it's just juicy targets, and even if I tie him up a little bit, maybe he won't move his general over and kill me, and maybe I'll just hold him up. That's it for my movement. During magic, it's 8 dice to 5. I take a gamble, and you can see my shaman down there. I cast Here We Go because I'm thinking it's an average roll will put a bubble on both my savages and the black orcs, and I have to roll like a 9 on 2d6 to get his savages. But if I roll high, everyone's going to be re-rolling, and it's going to be a big bloodbath. But you can see my die roll there. I didn't even get the damn spell off. With the other dice, I miscast Foot of GORK, and it goes off, stomps his trolls, does like 7 wounds, getting past regen on quite a few of them, and I lose Foot of GORK as the spell. I think that's about it for magic. I do 2 or 3 wounds on impact hits. I couldn't quite tell. We'll just say 2 here, but it might have been 3. And then his general moves over and kills me. He reforms. I break from combat with this chariot from the trolls and run. And he doesn't catch me on the line. And he can't go forward because his wolves are in the way. So his trolls stay where they are, not catching me. And my chariot gets away, which is pretty great luck. And the wolves, I do 1 wound and he sticks. So we're still tying him up there. I'm freaking in love with these wolves. And, again, this is all because of the bad deployment he had, and with rolling and putting his general over there. But, I mean, some of that could have been mitigated by rolling his general first and then planning appropriately, but, you know, that just happens to the best of us. You can see the foot of GORK damage at the top here when I stomped his trolls. And then with the combat in the middle, I go extra hand weapons on my black orcs, and I lose some. I get no impact hits at land from the chariot. The Ragnarok kind of whiffs, doesn't he? He thunderstomps one wound only, one hit only, and it wounds. But I mean, it's just I don't do anywhere near as I expect, and it's a tie. We add it all up, and even with all my charges, he did more wounds. It's a freaking tie. We both have musos, so we stick. It's unbelievable. Again, I should have called the Wah. Had I called the Wah, I would have had one more combat res, maybe multiple for all the charges. I don't really know how that works, but I would have won. He might have been an inspiring presence. I can't remember because, you know, he's on a mount. I don't know. He might have broke, but again, always try to call the Wah. I always forget it. So we go to the bad guy's turn 3. His general's coming in now, charges my wolves. That's going to spell the end there. His trolls stupidity march, and now they're in the leadership bubble. So my my luck with troll deployment is now over. We go to Magic. It's 8 dice to 6. He gets the big handoff, and I just couldn't dispel it, and uses it to move his trolls to threaten my chariot, and hopefully panic that around, and then maybe get into wherever combat he wants them. He kills my last 2 wolves in close combat, and but he's stuck. So he just basically a little blurry picture, but he reforms. And we go to the combat in the middle. No choppas on either side now. Believe it or not, it's a tie again. It's 2 ties in a row with all this combat left and right and flanks and whatever. It's another frickin' tie. Now I know savages are good, but I just cannot take away that frenzy. Oh man, I'm just kicking myself here again. I should have called that wall the first time. I just realized it immediately. It was crazy. And here's a picture at just the end of combat. How many dudes are left? Again, we both have musos, so that's where we are. So we go to my turn 3 or 4. I might have mislabeled that. Anyway, here are the charges. The pink line under my chariot is where the front of my chariot was. This is after, you know, magic and everything. I couldn't fit my savages in there to get into the corner combat anymore because the chariot was blocking it, and I charged before it gets to pivot and move. And I didn't want to charge it into the troll, so what I did was charge the BSB out, and he's going to add 2 combat res. He's only going to be in combat with 1 or 2, and then I'm not really threatening, I'm not really toying with the flank of my savages. Now, this scenario's extra points come in if you get your largest troop, your largest unit into their deployment zone, or over the half line, which I just did here during the magic phase. My black orcs are right at the line, so they're not my largest unit anyway, but they're right there. So that's my goal, is to hand a GORK my dudes in. We go to the magic phase, and I was able to do that. So I'm going to get the victory point for getting my guys in. He doesn't have his largest point unit in over the line yet, and that's a victory point that he won't get. If I stop him from getting his largest unit over the line, then I get another victory point. So I'm very excited about this. Anyway, magic goes off. I am able to hand a GORK my dudes over there. That's what the yellow line is showing. My BSB gets into combat there. And the chariot then reforms. You can see a fanatic has made its way through on the left side there and taken out some of his savages. And that's it. This is it for combat. At the end of combat, I lose 4, and I win with the BSB and all the combat res. But now I think he's just barely an inspiring presence, and he sticks. So he loses frenzy, but he's stuck. So I couldn't overrun, but I'm still feeling really good about my position here. So we go to the bad guy's turn 4. So yeah, that last one was my Orcs and Goblins 4. This is bad guy's 4. He gets his chariot, who had rallied, was an inch away from the board, rallied, gets it into the flank of my Ragnarok. So now he has a flank and a charge. I'm going to have to throw all my Ragnarok's attacks at that thing to make sure I kill it. His trolls charge my chariot. Now I elect to hold here because I know he's going to kill my chariot, but if I flee, he's like under an inch away from my chariot here. So if I flee, he's just going to be able to redirect and do 2d6 plus 6 right into the flank and kill my BSB and help in combat there. If I hold, then he has to just overrun to get in after killing me, but it's only 2d6 to get his movement, and he needs 8 inches. So give up the chariot and try to hold him up. That's my plan here. It doesn't look like it, but his... let me try to see where I am here. His big unit can't charge my savages here. The wolf was in the way, so he's kind of shimmied him up a little bit here during his movement. Oh, I'm sorry. No. Here's what's happening. It didn't look like it back in this picture. He wants to charge. He knows this is close to the end of the game. He wants to charge and kill my general, because that's one of the tournament points. If you kill the opponent's general. He can't. The wolf is in the way. Now, it doesn't really look like it from this picture, but this is because we had kind of moved it and shimmied it, and we both agreed from the original position he couldn't charge. So he charges his three characters out to try to assassinate my shaman. His 2 heroes make it in, and his general fails. So I actually have a shot here. Now, there's 1 wound on my shaman from miscasting Foot of GORK, but hey, I think I got this. We'll see. During magic and shooting, that really doesn't do anything. His trolls kill my chariot and roll a 7, needing an 8, fall an inch frickin' short. This is exactly what I was hoping for, and it paid off. It was fantastic. In the combat with the savages, I was able to kill them, break them, and run them down. I don't have a picture of that, but they ran down. We did the combat up with my shaman to see what would happen, and I make a ward save and take a wound. So my shaman lives, his dudes are there, I swing back and punk them out. I accepted the challenge of one of my champions, and he killed one. The other one swung with his 2 attacks and only landed the 1. So that's the game. I end up winning. I get the extra victory points for being in his, across the line in his deployment zone. I get 1 for denying him in mine, and neither of us kill each other's general, so there's no victory points there. So I score 12 out of 13, I think it was. Possible points, so that's pretty fantastic. Maybe it was 11 out of 12, something like that. I'm missing some of the objectives, but did really well. It got some really good luck. I should have frickin' called a wah, and I'm going to try to remember that for the next game here, just kicking myself because it would have been a totally, completely different game. But it ended up working really well. He kept his points for his trolls and his generals group, but I handily won, and it was a good game. Thanks for watching.